Hello, and welcome to Florida Caniac Perspective, now on YouTube. I am the Florida Caniac. Special Happy New Year's to everybody out there, now that we're in 2019 and kind of officially in the second half of the NHL season. However, before we get to the 5 games that we just recently played as a team, let me just remind you of my next visits on the Florida Caniac Tours. The next game I'll personally be at will be right here at home in Florida, January 10th versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, I will have a special guest with me. My good buddy Bobby Eagle will be attending the game as well, and we will be doing a Facebook Live on scene during the warm-ups, and you can ask your questions on there as well, and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you. The 5 games we're going to recap involve 2 of them we actually saw in person. The first one being the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, which we all really don't want to remember that one too well. After that, we're going to recap Whalers night. We're going to kind of go more in depth with that and my thoughts about the whole Whaler thing and some specific comments that were made during, before, and after the game. We're also going to go over the game against the Washington Capitals, as well as the games against the New Jersey Devils and the New Year's Eve game against the Philadelphia Flyers. The first game I was at was against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and as you can see, I was with my mother for this one, checking out the area of Raleigh to show her completely around, showing her some members of the Booster Club, kind of going around the entire facility, kind of showing her around. Now, granted, I am all about bringing in a lot of people, filling the stands with as many people as possible, but at the end of the day, even though I was able to get on the ice and win myself a free t-shirt after winning a game of musical chairs, granted my mother was the first one to be eliminated, it still felt like our own version of the movie Bird Box. Speaking of Bird Box, this movie is our episode's glaring weakness for reasons I do not want to get into. Now, as far as the game itself, and like I said before, it was one to definitely forget, as Pittsburgh destroyed Carolina by a score of 3-0. Yes, Carolina outshot Pittsburgh 39-32, as you can see there, and Curtis McElhinney was the star of the show for Carolina, getting him 29 saves in this entire effort. Pittsburgh just looked way too powerful of a team, way too much depth on that team, and overall, Carolina just looked like chickens with their heads cut off out there. Unfortunately, when you look at the overall game stats here, it adds more salt to the wound to this game. Carolina still fails to score a power play goal, even though they don't allow a power play goal at the same time again, but they also turn over the puck one too many times, as you can see the 25-11 that has been circled in your face. However, at the same time, to even add more salt to the wound, Pittsburgh won the face-off battle by a pretty decent amount margin here. And what I'm about to show you next doesn't even get started to how I really feel about this game. Now, what this is a still shot of right before Jay Getzel got the second goal of this game. As you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3 Carolina Hurricane players going up against 2 Pittsburgh Penguins. Not only is it a mismatch against Pittsburgh, but it's also behind the net in favor of Pittsburgh. And at the same time, if you look in the bottom corner here, although DiGiuseppe kind of overskated his play there, he really didn't hurry up to cover the middle of the net because he probably thought that this guy was going to supposed to go in the middle to go after him, and that didn't happen. So there was a little bit of miscommunication all the way around, and instead, Pittsburgh took it around the net, gave Getzel a wide open pass to get the easy 2-0 lead to kind of get this thing going. I don't feel like replaying this whole goal so you can see it. We're just going to go on to the next game, which happens to be the Whalers night versus the Boston Bruins, the very next game, and the final game I was able to attend. This game was not only exciting for the fans, but it brought a lot of controversy by not only a former player in Glenn Wesley, but the entire city of Hartford and the people that lived in the area. And granted, they have some reason behind their issues with the idea of the whale uniform being worn in Carolina. However, let me address this one last time, my thoughts regarding this whole situation. Now, I'm only speaking on this issue just because I'm the Florida Caniac, but I also grew up watching this team when they were once the Hartford Whalers. Yeah, I could say I'm a little old in the tooth in a way, but I also play for the Florida Everblades for 2 games, so there is that too. However, beside the point, I get why some people that live in the Connecticut area, the New England area, are a little upset because they lost their team. And I get why they do not like seeing the Whaler logo down in Raleigh. I get that. I understand that. However, it's not like the Carolina Hurricanes called themselves the Hartford Whalers. They were still called the Carolina Hurricanes. They just happened to be wearing and paying homage to where they came from. I wish more teams did this. I would love to see Colorado beat the Nordiques for 1 game, or the Dallas Stars wear the old North Stars colors for 1 game, or heck, why not? Let Arizona wear the Winnipeg uniform. Might be a little weird that we have a Winnipeg team, but hey, it could happen, right? But I get it. And the other controversy is Dougie Hamilton was wearing the number 19 in the Whaler jersey. I get that. But they were not called the Hartford Whalers. They were still called the Carolina Hurricanes, who just happened to pay homage for where they came from. And I thought this was a great idea by Tom Dundon, even though it was probably to make a couple extra bucks for the team, and I get that. But most of when the fans that I talked to were there, they loved it. Even the Boston fans I talked to loved it. There was nothing that went wrong with it, and the uniform looked so beautiful on the ice. Where would they go wrong with this? There was just no way. Now, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to get into the game itself and the fun I had with the people I was with over there. I must say, I was not prepared for the camera to be in my face when I first walked in, but I thought pretty quick as I pointed to my hat. But I made my way over to Maniscalco and Willis, knowing that they were going to be live right off the bat with their pregame show. And of course, if you guys watched it from that point of view, you saw me full face there as well. Now, I also took some pictures with some friends and the usual people I run into all the time when I'm at the rink and everything like that. Got to see the mascots like anybody would go see. Got some autographs. Got to see the Jumbotron with the keys to the game, as well as the projection, which was the debut of it for this game. It was one of those where you really were glad you saw it in person, but only wanted to see what it looked like on the TV as well. So that was really cool overall. And then we got to see them on the ice. But before that, the ceremonial puck drop, of course. Got to honor the homage, got to honor the players that were there, let them have their fun at it. Then they got on the ice. It looked magical at that point. And it kind of mixed in with the red as well, because it really looked very, very, very holiday-ish, as you can say on that. As for the game itself, Boston did take an early 2-0 lead to start the game off. But typical Carolina 1980 style Whaler style scoring, they came back to win it 5-3. Sebastian Aho got the first star of the game, 2 goals and 2 assists. Teuvo Teravainen actually did the same exact performance, also netting 2 goals and 2 assists. The team also got 2 shorthanded goals by these 2 guys collectively, but Justin Falk also put the nail on the coffin by getting himself a goal as well. Peter Mrazek made 27 saves in this effort, as this team looked very, very good on the ice. As far as the tail of the tape goes, yeah, you can see on paper here Boston did look like the better team, but that was for about the first, I would say, 12 minutes of that game. And then, as you can see on the final scoreboard, Carolina ended up winning the whole game. Takeaways was the big thing I took away literally from this game, on top of the fact that they got 2 shorthanded goals as well. Granted, Boston did finally smear off that power play streak that was going on, penalty kill streak that was going on for Carolina by getting 1 power play goal, but they were shut out the rest of the time. Well, Carolina ended up going on a mini road trip right after the holiday break, putting back on the reds and whites. First stop, the Washington Capitals, where they lost that one by a score of 3-1. Closer than you would say in this game, despite that score. Sebastian Aho getting the lone score for the team, and Peter Mrazek standing on his head once again, keeping his team in it entirely with his 30-save performance. As far as the tail of the tape goes, I mean, I like to say that Carolina fought the good fight here, but these numbers say way differently. And granted, Carolina did have a chance to tie it up at the end of the game, only to have Washington put that empty netter in. The only winning stat Carolina has here is the giveaways, which means they didn't turn over the puck as much as Washington did, which is a good sign. Granted, they still can't score a power play goal. I don't understand what the issue is here. At least they only allowed one power play goal against themselves, so that's always a good thing to look back at. It was now time to go to New Jersey, where they still couldn't score, losing 2-0 to the Devils. Curtis McElhinney being the lone warrior in this game, getting 28 saves out of 29 shots, the 30th being an empty net goal by the New Jersey Devils. As far as the tail of the tape goes, you can clearly see they've done everything they can to win this game except put the puck in the net. It's quite simple. You score goals, you win games. They did everything right here to win the game, and they just simply couldn't do it. But wait, Carolina did score a goal, didn't they? No, Williams apparently touched the goalie Blackwood's stick with his skate, and they deemed it goaltender interference, and the goal was called back. Dang, they can't even buy a break in this one, could they? Now, was it really goaltender interference? That's up to debate. Unfortunately, I have to agree with the refs making the right call here because, yes, that is the rule. However, this is one of those deals where I feel it could be ref's discretion on was it really goalie interference. And in this case, I would kind of take into the fact, was it really that big of a deal? Did it really stop the guy from really making the save or preventing him from possibly making a save? Or was it just a really good screen? You decide. But I feel they got a little robbed in this one, even though it was great performances by both goaltenders. But we can't think about that long and hard regarding that result, where we could just go and end the year against Philadelphia and beat them by a score of 3-1. It was a great performance by the team as Lucas Wallmark opened up the scoring for Carolina to get things going, followed by goals by Andrei Svechnikov, who got himself a goal for the first time in about a game or two, and Jordan Martinhook also as well getting himself on the score sheet. The usual suspects did not score in this one for sure, but the tail of the tape shows as well that they did everything right, the complete opposite of that New Jersey game as far as the result goes, but the same exact performance, which is what we expected this team to be at the end of the day and at the end of the year. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Florida Caniac Perspective. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And as always, go Canes.